You're tuned in to Talon, 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 Talon it like it is. So, election season is in full swing, isn't it? And this is a time of year where the media seems to forget about a lot of the bigger issues in the world, and everybody seems to be rooting for a team and not caring about the issues, and really looking into what these candidates are all about. So I'm here to cut through all the media BS and give you a raw take on these candidates. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a very unbiased, straightforward summarization of each candidate. And then I might insert at the very end of my summary a little bit of my take on them. So there's 4 parties that are really running that have a big chance this year at winning the election. And that's the Democrat Party, for one, the Republican Party, the GOP, as they call it, the old big tent, the Librarian Party, which is libertarian. Is that... Do we have
I thought you had it right the first time.
So the Librarian Party, and then the Green Party. So I'm going to profile the candidates for each one of these big parties and give you a profiling of them that will give you the chance to make an informed decision and decide who you want. I'm going to work my way up from who I think let's go by just the kind of media rankings, because the whole election is such a media circus that you really need to speak the language of lamestream media a little bit to even talk about it, because it's so ingrained in the process. They don't have debates come onto my show, even though I would be a really great moderator and I would ask them all sorts of great questions. Hey, Hillary, Jillery, Don, and Gary, all of you are invited onto my show. And in fact, you can take the lead a little later in the episode. We're going to be having an interview with the sitting president, Barack Hussein Obama. He was trying to call in to do an interview, probably because he knows that he's not going to be president much longer and he needs a little boost in his popularity, so he comes running to us for a phone call chat. So we'll have him later in the episode, so he's on hold just waiting right now. No rush. I'm gonna start out by talking about Jill Stein. Now, Jillery Stein, she goes by Jill so that people don't get her confused with Hillary, but if you look at her real birth certificate, it says Jillery. She is very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Almost every single thing that I've ever heard her say was this kind of, she's a communist. She's just flat out, even I think communists, at least they have rules. They might not be the right ones, but this woman is for chaos. Because what she's wanting to do, she says she's going to give all the money back to everyone who went to college and owes money for doing that. So if you're saying, oh, you can buy college from somebody and then you just don't have to pay for it anymore, that sets this example suddenly where everyone is going to be saying they're going to go out to breakfast and eat a waffle, and they say, oh yeah, I ate the waffle, I enjoyed it, but I still want my money back and not to pay because that's the way things work now with Jewelry in charge. And she says a lot of other dangerous things. She includes messages. She's saying that we need to shut down all the military bases across the world and stop doing wars. And I think that might be one of the most dangerous parts of her platform, because if America stops, doing wars, then we're just going to become rusty and decrepit and crumble. Because if you learn one thing from any great empire, it's that they sustain themselves by just spreading their military just like in a thin layer across the universe. So it's important that, for one, she's putting everyone who's making weapons out of jobs, which is one of the only things that we even still make in America, thanks to some of these agreements that people have made. So she's trying to get rid of all the weapons, and then what's she going to do? She wants to make the environment so much better. And what does that really mean? What does she mean when she's saying she wants to make the environment so great and good? Is she saying that she wants for animals in trees to have more rights than American citizens? So that means that if a raccoon was to come up to your door of your house, you would have to go to the door and you would have to let that raccoon in. And if it wanted to decide that it lives in your house now and you don't live in your house anymore, then you have to obey it under Jewelry Stein. She's got a pretty twisted view of things, because one thing that you need to understand is that if all the animals have taken over everything in America and we've stopped killing all the terrorists all the time, we're going to be Canada. And I don't think that's what anyone wants. I don't think that's what anyone wants. All right? I don't think you want to be going around spending money with gooses on it. All right? You need eagles on money. So I wanted to get her out of the way because I hope America wants to get her out of the way, because enough of this giving money to poor people and not killing everybody else. Now, the next person on my docket here is Gareth Johnson. He was once upon a time, he was a Republican governor of New Mexico, and he, I guess he is very into doing cannabis, cigarette, marijuanas. He thinks that that's very cool and makes him very groovy and cool. And I think that it makes me scared of what his judgment is. Now, he has promised to not be doing pot if he was being president. He said he has quit for the campaign and that he wouldn't be doing it anymore if he was in the presidency. But what I worry about is that marijuana is very, very addictive. And so I don't know if I want my president laying there going through these kind of crazy withdrawals, watching dead babies crawling around with bugs crawling on him and all sorts of these demonic visions of a junkie. But if he gets clean, he is an interesting candidate. So I'm going to break down some of what his ideas about how we should be doing things are. He says that the government shouldn't do any rules to people who are doing business or really much of anything else. He says that and I agree with, there's some of these oppressive things in government, and I think you look at food stamps and these WIC programs and all these things that are really designed to make people say that that they don't need to work all the time just to survive. And I think that's so wrong, because I think the reason that we are on this earth is just to work and work and work until we can be proud and we can be dead. And so I think that that's what's so encouraging about his platform is he's saying we need to create a landscape where there's no rules to balance it out and pick winners and losers and say that, oh, poor people can have help and that rich people have to pay taxes. Because so it sounds like I would like the guy, doesn't it? But he's always bragging that he has climbed Mount Everest. He's always, and he even went so far as to call Donald Trump a word that I won't say on the air. But let me just tell you that it can be a cat or a willow. It's a nasty thing to call someone else. And he's always bragging that he climbed Mount Everest, which normally I think if somebody had really done that, that would mean they would be very good at being president. Because if you have the determination to just walk up a hill that you could die a million times over, and so many people have, just to stand up at the top and go, yeah, I did that. I did that, baby. That means that you're going to be a good president because that means that you want to get to the top, and that's mainly what your goal is. So that means you want it enough. He didn't climb Mount Everest. He made it up. I was at I was at a cookout that he was at, and he was just wasted on weed. His eyes were as red as blood, and they were these little slits that he was peering out of, and he was kept yelling about how this song was about him and how it was so great. And I said, hey, Mr. Johnson, I admire that you climbed Mount Everest. I might just endorse you one day. And he said, bro, I didn't even well, he didn't say effing, I'll tell you that much. He said, I didn't even effing do that, man. People just think that's really cool, man. And then he threw up and he fell over and he just didn't even wake up until after I had left because I had enough of him. So he is a liar and a cheat. So as much as obvious the libertarian party's politics seem on paper like they'd be so great and work so well for everyone and really create this like equal society, he's not the guy to do it, unfortunately, this year. And of course, the real talk of the town, the kind of person whose election this has been, Donald Jingleheimer Trump. Now, he has been famous for oh so many years, and I have to say that I have rubbed elbows with him before, which was weird. It was this place that he brought me to that was just, you just rub ladies' elbows, and I thought it was so weird that that's what he brought me to. So I've, have been around him, and he He's a genius. There's no doubt about that. That's one thing I think that everyone can agree, whether you agree with his ideas or you don't agree with his ideas, is that he is such a, not just a sharp mind, but it's so full of knowledge. I mean, any topic, it's amazing. It doesn't matter what question you ask him, he will start talking and have something to say. And that's not even to say that he knows the answer, but he has an answer, and that's what makes him such a genius. But my fear with him is that he's skipped around on many different wives, which is troubling. Now, a lot of you know about King Henry, whatever number Henry. Do we have a number check on Henry?
Oh, number check for Henry comes out to 17.5.
Okay. So, he was a king who made up divorce, and then he started chopping off girls' heads. So when you look at someone who's doing divorce, then you wonder, oh, what's the next step? Is it chopping off heads? Now, that's a little harsh, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that's something that might pop into someone's head. My main concern is that if someone can make a lifelong covenant with someone, and then they can decide that they don't want to be in that anymore and go off to another one, that makes me wonder. He gets into office, he starts doing, I mean, if you listen to what he's promised, he said he was going to get the best people, which I support. He said he was going to make all the best deals, which I support. He said he's going to build a wall, which I don't, that's a policy that I don't know if I can get behind, because I can think of some ways that could go wrong. But as far as doing the best things in the best ways, I think that's a policy that not enough candidates are willing to bring to the table. So I support that. But I just don't know if he's going to. So he comes in, he starts doing all the best things. Oh, then suddenly Latvia wants a new president. And so he's going to go off and he's going to divorce us and leave us with his children. And he's going to go be president of some younger country in Europe. And it'd be very sad for everyone. And we'd kind of all grow up to be these hollow, broken, plastic-looking people. Like, that could happen to someone if that happened to them. So I don't think in that many ways that he'd be a good president. Also, he's a dangerous racist, which is troubling, to say the least. Kind of a deal breaker. In conclusion of this episode, and possibly of our great democracy, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now, Hillary Rodham Clinton is the wife of the former President William Jefferson Clinton. And William Jefferson Clinton, for those of you who don't know, is his real name is William Jefferson Blythe. And so her real name is Hillary Rodham Blythe. So when you're looking, so the lies start at the name with these two. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that they're just little lie factories running around through history, twisting and bending everything to be the way they want it to be. And it's pretty scary, some of the things that they've done. So, but and this is going to be a harsh critique. Obviously, you can tell that by now. And if you've been listening to me over the years, I mean, I've been at it with this woman since the 1990s. I mean, we're thorns in each other's sides, to say the least. But I'm going to say some good things about her to warm it up, because I think that that's important to balance it out and not just be bashing her, but prove that I'm being fair and neutral. So let's start at page 1. You can, whether you disagree with her policies or not, you have to admit that she just has this kind of warm, personable energy that's just so charming on a kind of basic instinctual level that you're just so drawn to her. And she has such an effortless humor, and she really cracks me up with some of her jokes. She had this joke that she had done about how they should make Pokemon Go go to the polls, which is very funny, because Pokemon Go, the kids are playing the game where they're going to places, and so because her agenda does not appeal to young voters in the slightest, that it would give them a reason to go to there, because she will not give them a reason to go to the polls. And I thought that was such a funny joke that she made, because it was really her saying, oh, to young people, I don't need your votes, you dumb idiots, I'll peel off some female Republicans. And I thought that was kind of a goof that she did. So her personality obviously is charming, but I don't think that's what we're voting for when we vote for president. We're voting for a leader. So on policy, her agenda, she's saying she wants to make minimum wages through the roof for everybody and make colleges affordable and continue the scourge that is Obamacare. And that's all very scary, very, very scary. But the one place where I do agree with her on is that war should be endless. And I'm so glad that, and that's one thing about the Democrats, is that I give the Democrats a lot of razzmatazz on this show, and I really try to bring them down a peg as frequently as I can because they're a traitorous party. But I have to say, over the past 20 years or so, I've watched this kind of beautiful transformation and acceptance of war and violence as an endless state of being. And it's been so great to see sometimes in America things move in the right direction. And it's great to see that, where people are it becomes such a part of life that you don't even have to think about it anymore, which is really a great way to have things be, I think. So that's one page on which we kind of we're sharing some ideas, but I don't think that's enough when her ideas have to do with forcing children to be educated to be gay, because I think gayness should be a choice, as it always is. So I think that you shouldn't be pushing people into it one way or the other like she would want to, and I don't think you should be pushing people away from doing it like the Republicans would want to, and is in their platform. So I'm being fair. So in addition to some of these nuanced policy positions that I'm getting into, I think that Hillary Clinton has murdered so many people that it does raise some eyebrows. You start thinking, obviously, okay, if somebody's getting to be elected to be president, there's going to be a few dropped bodies along the trail because there's such high stakes. I mean, it's almost inevitable. I mean, it's just the way things go. But she's abuses that privilege that I think we allow all politicians, because this is one of those things where, you know, it's kind of if you're famous, you get to have drugs once, and if you're good at if you're high up in the rankings of politics, you get to have a few people killed. And we understand that at a certain point that's the cost of doing business. But she's really, I mean, look it up online. It's called Arkanside. There is an Arkanside.com. It's a thing that people very much believe. So look into it. All right, Patriots. Well, now that you've gotten an in-depth and detailed, unbiased look into each one of the candidates and all of their policies and how they would affect the future of this country, I think you're ready to get out there and cast your vote. And it's so important that you do, because a vote is so powerful, and it's one of the greatest powers we have as an American citizen, is to get out there and cast our votes. So after today, you know that if you want for an elm tree to be vice president, and if you want all of money to be replaced with seashells and colorful crystals and handmade soaps, and most importantly, if you want to suffer the economic backlash that will happen in this country when we go from dropping 35,000 bombs a year to zero, if you want to deal with that whiplash and that topsy-turvy turmoil that will be created, go ahead and vote for Jill Stein. Now, if you want to be able to smoke crack out of an AK-47 in front of an unlicensed chemical plant, vote for Gareth Johnson. If you think that the past would make a better future than the future would, vote for Donald Trump. And if you think that everything is just hunky-dory under Obama, if you think that everything is going just fine, you can vote for Hillary Clinton. And as I said, yes, she will do more wars, and she will do bigger, longer wars. But I have to warn you, folks, as seductive as that is, you have to understand that those wars are only serving as a distraction from the things like gay marriage and that they're trying to get past us. So understand that. Now, that seems pretty bleak. That doesn't seem like the best lineup, does it? I want to give you a fifth option, folks. And this fifth option is available to you on your ballot. It is a write-in candidate. And I know that maybe it sounds like if I'm telling you can write in a candidate, it actually seems like I'm not just giving you a fifth option, but an infinite number of options. And yes, that is true, but I want for you, my fans, the people out there who agree with my ideas and admire me and look to me for leadership and understand that I am also over the age of 35 and a U.S. citizen. I want you to stop and think, maybe you should write someone in. And I'm not saying anyone specific, I'm not saying anyone in particular, but if anybody comes to your mind that is a great patriot and a lover of liberty and a genius and has a nice speaking voice, write them in. Write them in and see if you aren't writing the story of a better future for this country. Until next week, stay patriotic.
Oh, Talon, before the episode's up, we still have someone on hold for you.
We have someone on hold. Who did we have on hold?
Well, you asked me to have him wait. It was the president.
The president, the current one, Barack Hussein Obama.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I guess put him through. We can do that before the episode's over, right? I guess you guys don't mind staying a few extra minutes.
I think it'll be okay.
Okay, I'm sorry about this guy. Anyway, okay, let's put him through. This is very exciting to certain people, and I think it's very exciting to certain people who want to see this guy's feet held to the flames. Right, we got on the phone, Barack Hussein Obama. Welcome to the show, Barack.
Thank you, Talon, for having me here. I appreciate you emphasizing my middle name. As you know, it is very important to me as an American Muslim to be recognized for my entire Allah-given name.
Well, yes, and I do it as a sign of respect, because I do have respect for Muslimism, and I'm glad that you're finally, now that you don't have to worry about elections, that you're finally starting to be honest about your Muslimism, because I think a lot of people felt like you were being very sneaking in the past.
Well, Talon, I think now that I don't have to worry about re-election, I can be a little bit more forthcoming about my Kenyan heritage, my devout faith, and my intention to destroy the United States.
Yes, and that's an interesting point that you bring up, and I wanted to talk to you about that. When did you first decide that you wanted to be personally responsible for the death of the United States and civilization at large?
Well, I was standing in a circle of heathens and communists, smoking the devil's lettuce, and I was mid-interception when I realized that I had a knack for fucking things up. And it was that moment that I decided to be the ultimate fuck-up in history.
Ah, I see. So there's a little origin stories for you folks. If you wanted to make a comic book out of Barack Hussein Obama, that would certainly be an important page in it. So I have to say, I disagree with just about everything that you've ever said or done. But the one thing, I have to say you are good at doing what you do. Because if your plan was to destroy America, boy howdy, you are the MVP of that team, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much, Talon. I would prefer to be humble about my accomplishments in the destruction of this nation, but I'll take what I can get.
Okay, so while I have you on the line, because I understand that you're busy because you only have so little time to finish up your works, I'm wondering, your father, Malcolm X, had a quote about making change by any means necessary. And I'm wondering, is that why you've been such a mean guy, saying mean things about Fox News and other voices? Typical dodge by a liberal media elite. You are really a ninja of getting past the question, aren't you?
Thank you.
So, Barack Hussein Obama, I have to say, talking to you this long is making me sick to my stomach, so I'm going to have to let you go.
That is no worry to me, Talon. I've got to get back to the laboratory. Malia's competency core is failing, and I think we may need to find some replacement parts for her. My cybernetic children, by the way,
what little
an
angels.
addition to the White House. I hope that your viewers will agree, and I hope that they have enjoyed the last 8 years of treachery and destruction of the United States.
Well, and, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for literally nothing else ever that you've ever done.
Goodbye, Talon.
All right, you have a good one. Barry. Well, that was pretty unproductive. This on this show, I mean, this is a show that has had so many big guests, and to kind of waste our time on that was... It won't happen again next week, folks. Please don't take that as a reason not to tune back in. We love you. Follow us on the web, Twitter, the Facebook one. Email me and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at TalonItLikeItIs. For new content and updates, visit boiledsprat.com/TalonItLikeItIs. See you next week.